And if you're looking for a way to incorporate squash in your diet, then Lynn has the recipe for you. And it's perfect if you're trying to feed the entire family. Let's check it out with Cooking with Lynn.
I'm going to show you something that you can do today when you have an abundance of squash. In the summertime, we tend to have lots of this around here on Delmarva, and the little farm stand around the corner from me had a ton of it available. I know in years when I've grown it in my garden, it's always very plentiful. So as you can see, I've already started cutting some up here. And I'm going to just spray this pan so we have a non-stick area that we don't have to clean up as much later. So the first thing I'm going to do here, I've started slicing the squash up. I'll probably slice a little more, but we're going to make the kind of batter that this is going to go in. So I've got 2 eggs here that I have already beaten up and thrown into this bowl. And then to that, I'm adding a ½ cup of Greek yogurt. You could use sour cream or low-fat sour cream. My grandmother, when she made it, I believe used sour cream, but I'm just trying to lighten it up a little bit. And I'm going to whisk those together. It doesn't have to be perfect, but I can still see some pieces of yolk, so I'm kind of beating them in there. And you notice, again, I've got a whisk, but sometimes the best kitchen tools are the things that everyone has, that you don't have to have anything fancy. This is just a fork. I've got a ¼ cup of chopped onion here. I just had a small onion, and I had about half of it left over and thought this would be perfect in this. And it will, it'll give it a nice little flavor, a little bit of extra flavor and depth of flavor there. And then I have got some thyme from my garden. You could use dried spices. If you use dried thyme, do it very sparingly. It's a very strong herb when it's dried, and it really, really can alter the flavor of soups and stews and things like this. But I'm probably using about, I don't know, maybe a teaspoon of these little leaves that I'm just pulling off the stems. They've already been washed. And to this, I'm going to start putting my squash that I've chopped. And I'll kind of know by sight as I start to toss this around if I need more squash cut up. I am going to cut up maybe one more because I don't want it to look like soup, but I want everything well coated. Cut the yucky pieces off there. Squash is so versatile. You can use this, you can saute it on top of the stove, you can steam it, you can grill it, you can roast it in the oven. So no matter how you cook it, make sure to get out there and get some right now. It's loaded with vitamins and minerals, very high in water content, it has some fiber, and it's just a great bright summer side. And now I'm going to add that to my prepared casserole pan. If you would like, you can always add in some cheese. I've got about ½ cup of cheddar here that I'm adding in. Again, that's the great thing about casseroles. It's kind of what you have on hand. The eggs and the yogurt are really what hold this together, and everything else, your seasonings, your cheese, those are just, you know, things that you add, the onions, for flavor. I don't want to put my fingers in this, but we do kind of want them all laying flat, so I am going to put my fingers in this. Luckily, it'll be cooked in the oven shortly. And then the last thing I've chosen to do here is I have got about 3/4 cup of panko breadcrumbs, just dried garlic, just to give it just a little bit of flavor, and I'm just sprinkling this all over the top of this dish. You could put some salt and pepper on there, as I'm going to do now. Just a little bit of seasoning going in there. And then I'm also going to throw, which we'll add probably more after, but all that brown makes me sad. I gotta add a little bit of chopped parsley here. Totally optional again, like I said, it's what you have on hand. But since it's a vegetable dish, I want to see some of the bright colors of summer in there. And then we're going to pop this in a 350-degree oven for about 30-35 minutes. This one's just about done, and it is gorgeous, and all the cheese is melted and the breadcrumbs have started to get nice and toasty brown, and of course the squash inside is nice and soft. So quick, easy thing that you can make in the summertime. This is great to have with a salad left over for lunch. You could even chop up the leftovers and throw them in a frittata or an omelet, or just eat it as it is. So I hope you try this out and let us know what you think.
Looks absolutely delicious. And as a reminder, we do have all of Lynn's tips and tricks on our website. To find them, just log on to 47abc.com and click on the Good Morning Delmarva page.